Hi everyone. My name is Yana, and I'm a Google Logistics Specialist. I deliver targeted audiences to businesses with the right parameters and help scale online sales, mainly using AI tools in the Google Ads dashboard. And up until a certain point, until 2025, the main AI tool in Google Ads was Performance Max. Today, we're going to talk about another new feature in the ad dashboard that Google has already announced, and in the third quarter of 2025, it will be available to almost all advertisers. And that is aimax for search ad campaigns. Let's talk about what the difference is, what the innovations of this campaign are, and where you can enable it in your ad dashboard. What are its advantages or disadvantages? So, what is aimax? Well, of course, from the name of the campaign, it's already clear that these are search campaigns with AI functionality. But how exactly are they different from the other sets of ad campaigns we already have? Because right now, a lot of people are writing about their drawbacks or advantages. Some are absolutely thrilled, saying it's an innovation. Others don't like them at all, because they reduce the amount of control you have over your campaigns. I'd like to talk through these points a bit. Where did this aimax from Google come from? Why are they betting on it? And why will it be trending in the next few years? If you watch my old video about Google Ads trends, I mentioned that they would revamp search, Depashka, into something really smart and roll out a tool like this. And here you go, 2 or 3 years have passed, and now they've created this advertising tool. You could almost call me a fortune teller, but really, it's all based on the general trends and dynamics we observe in the advertising dashboard. What is aimax? It's search with AI functionality. I'll now explain what it is, the logic behind using these campaigns, and what advantages they have over what's currently available in classic search campaigns, to get you up to speed on how this AI works. For now, I would compare this type of ad campaign to a certain kind of campaign. Let's put it this way. What does this AI do? The AI selects keywords quite accurately, chooses a landing page for those keywords, and can generate the ad copy. When I heard about these 3 so-called features of this AI, it really reminded me of an already existing type of ad campaign in the ad account called DEPO, or in Latin letters, DSA, Dynamic Search Ads. What is this beast? I'll tell you a bit about it now, so it's a little clearer what this aimax is. So, look, what did DEPO do? When we created it, what could it do? It could pick out keywords from your website if your site could be indexed by Google. So, basically, if your site is open for Google indexing for Google bots, and if all the SEO stuff is set up and described for Google, then it could pick up that semantics from your site and didn't use match types. Because usually, when you read something about aimax, you'll hear a lot about the fact that they don't use match types. DEPO also used broad match type. Is that bad or is it good? Actually, this type of campaign, DEPO, is one of the most powerful for e-commerce or, for example, if you offer services, you sell, and your site is available for indexing. Actually, yes, broad match type. In fact, in the second half, in the last 2 quarters of 24 and in 25, this is the main trend. People who are still trying to keep at least some manual control, strictly flipping those switches, in the end, they lose more than they gain. The advantage of this broad match type, even in the old DSA format, was that you had the opportunity not to worry about whether you had chosen the right keywords that would lead to conversions to your desired results or not. Plus, it also took into account many low-frequency queries or queries that are entered only once and never repeated. We've all gotten used to it. Siri, OK Google, research using OK Google for some products. And there are a lot of these queries now. In fact, your search ad campaigns can now generate more than half of all queries from this block of low-frequency searches. That's already a separate topic for another video. Is it possible to optimize them somehow or not? That's not what we're talking about today. So this DSA would pick keywords from your website. You could add negative keywords, meaning you could filter out something unwanted. But the selection of these broad keywords was actually based on the essence of the keyword itself, not on what a user interested in buying a specific product would actually search for. Maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but there is a difference. You'll probably understand as we go on. So, for example, if we were selling figurines of elephants, let's say, then we could get queries like pink, green, elephants, elephant photo, things like that. Of course, if you didn't filter out these queries, they would keep showing up more or less indiscriminately. Unless maybe an automated strategy, like one focused on conversions or value, could slightly reduce the amount of non-targeted traffic. Yes, another thing. So, there are these kinds of nuances with this DSA. It's a great tool, and it's still going to be relevant. It's not going anywhere, but it does have its quirks. You really need to put in the effort to keep your traffic clean. Another advantage of this DSA was that the headline itself, the one we set, was also generated dynamically. So we didn't have to set the headlines ourselves. We only set 2 descriptions and then some additional attributes like extra links and so on, callouts, structured snippets, and other things like that. These are all part of the assets block, which used to be called extensions, basically. So look, the advantage. Where did it get this headline from? It also indexed the headline of your page and pulled it in there. Plus, the third advantage of this DSA was that it really did dynamically select the landing page. That is, with a high probability, if someone was searching for a pink elephant, the landing page would either show a page with pink elephants, depending on what you have indexed, or even a specific pink elephant, taking them straight to the product card. In most cases, all those DPOs that we launched, the vast majority of them were targeted directly at the product cards. This gave an incredible boost to the conversion rate of these campaigns, unlike classic campaigns where you had to select keywords, write the ad copy, and assign a landing page. Yes, because usually, if we wanted to sell those elephants or iPhones, we would direct people to a catalog with iPhones or those elephants. But here, it was straight to the product card. This reduced the amount of time a person spent on our site and, of course, increased conversions this way. You see, these same things are present in this aimax for search as well. They are also there, but in a more advanced version. What does a more advanced version mean? First of all, it can already generate your text ads on its own, but not just by simply pulling them from the website. Although here, I also think that at first they will practice this, just pulling ready-made texts from your website. So be careful. I had a situation where Performance, with the same AI functionality, pulled texts that weren't really suitable for our service. For example, let's say the company is engaged in developing AI agents for specific business tasks. And they have a section so that people can apply for a job with them. It just pulled that text, like, you can come work for us, even though that's not actually relevant. So there's a chance that they might also pull text from your website. That's why, for now, you need to be very careful to exclude the pages you don't want them to index or for Google to take into account. I'll show you where you can do this next. But the texts will really be generated, taken from the site, and they will be more commercial in nature, and their quality will, well, better match the actual query the user is searching for. What is the advantage of these campaigns? Well, maybe that's actually a downside. We lose the ability to manually control the cost per click. Because before, in order to lower the cost per click in search to certain minimum thresholds, we had to work on the ad quality, the quality score, ad relevance, CTR, and so on. And now this functionality is being taken away from us in another way. So the AI itself will generate text ads, selecting them in such a way that they match Google's end customer as much as possible, or rather, the client. That is, those who are clicking on the ads. They won't be done for us directly, so to speak, but we'll be getting some indirect benefit from it. But there's also a big advantage here, because you don't have to think about how to improve that ad, since you can't constantly change SEO texts on your website. Especially since Google won't have time to index it, and the AI won't be able to pull the right texts. But the AI, in terms of ad relevance, offers a lower cost per click than classic search. And AI will most likely be a kind of improved version of this whole thing. So, what do we have in AI? The same functionality that was in the AI, but with an improved ad generation format, meaning the ads themselves will be better. For example, in this screenshot, you can see that someone is searching for, say, best serum for dry sensitive skin. This person is searching for the best serum for dry, sensitive skin. And here you can see what kind of ad the automation can generate in principle and which page it can lead to. I wouldn't say it's going to be absolutely perfect. They will still be guided by what you have according to what you specified in SEO, in those headers, descriptions, those meta tags of your page. They will still need that information. But this is a signal for you about what you can improve on your own website. Plus, the more useful information you provide on your site, the higher the chance that the text generated by the AI will be better. And, of course, the keywords. They will become much better. We can see here that for the low-frequency query, the generated text is quite good, right? Here we have face serum for dry and sensitive skin. We have almost all the necessary keywords included in the ad text. This is actually a really cool thing. Previously, DPO would pull in your SEO text, but sometimes it needed to be improved. So basically, it just used to take and pull whatever was on your website, but now it will actually select what's on the site and combine it with what the user is searching for. As a result, the ad ranking will be higher and, accordingly, the cost per click will be lower. Well, that's what I'm expecting for now. But Google is the kind of corporation that's already been noticed for driving up the cost per click. So that's a whole separate story in itself. But in any case, for now, we'll be looking at it just like this. So another advantage will be that it uses broad keywords and broad match types. But unlike DPO, which selected similar queries based on the actual meaning of the keyword. So basically, if we were selling elephants, DPO, if not filtered, could also show up for elephant photos. Big elephant, elephant toy. But we're selling, for example, figurines, right? Or, for instance, even queries like trip to the zoo to see elephants could come up. So here, they're promising us that the AI now approaches the selection of this semantics more intelligently from the perspective of the sales funnel. Because remember, all the folks at Google consider the block of search campaigns and performance max together with shopping as the lower stage of the sales funnel. A bit higher in the hierarchy is demand gen, and even higher up now is YouTube. So, taking that into account, there's a lot of hope, and we're about to start testing. By the way, if you're interested in the tests and whether this will be cool or not, let me know in the comments and I'll make a separate video because we've already launched some of this functionality and we'll see how it works. Because it really is interesting. There are no real analogs, as they say, so basically you need to use it and test it out. So most likely, the quality of semantic selection will be better. For now, let's put it this way, since this is AI, it will need some time to learn how to pick the right semantics. So we ourselves, right now, by enabling these features in our accounts, are helping this AI to learn. That's why, in principle, I'm all for giving the AI the opportunity to learn from our data. Well, excuse me, but they simply don't have the ability to test this in some kind of simulators, right? This will be done at the expense of our advertising spend, but most likely, right now, it will be learning rapidly. How rapidly? It will be learning on a massive scale from this data, and most likely, by the end of, I think, 2025, it will really pick up speed in terms of correctly selecting the semantic core, meaning the keywords to show your ads for. Plus, it will level up its skill in generating these ads. Why do I think so? Because if you ask ChatGPT for a list of keywords for your particular niche, it will seem to select them logically and correctly. But from a purely systematic and technical perspective for Google, these aren't quite the right keywords. So, most likely, for now, this will be something of average quality. But if you optimize everything properly, monitor performance, adjust bids and budgets, then most likely you'll be able to train your search AI inside your account to generate the right traffic faster than anyone else. The only thing to keep in mind is that you still need to monitor it, because the AI is just out of beta. It will be available for all accounts in the third quarter of 25. At least, that's what they're promising. At the very least, there is definitely some proof of that somewhere here. Yes, at the beginning of the third quarter of 25, it will be available to all advertisers. Where do you turn on this AI? Here's the most interesting part. Look, you go into your ad account, go to your ad campaigns. Here, the search ones. You can basically see the search icon here. So I select it, hover over the icon of my campaign, click this gear wheel, as I was corrected. And right here, in the campaign settings, I have a really big section called Care. So it's really hard not to notice it. AI-powered maximum efficiency campaigns for search campaigns. This is the aimax search. Here, it suggests enabling this entire section. And there are also two additional features you can enable here. Text modification, meaning using text from the website, landing pages, and provided ad assets. Basically, you need to give yourself the opportunity to see how accurately your site provides information to the AI. You might even find ways to improve things, even for the same PMAX. And the final URL address, direct traffic to the most relevant URLs. For now, I haven't excluded any URLs here. We're doing this test on purpose to understand how well the system can handle it. But ideally, just like for the AI, you should exclude any pages you don't want it to pull text from or target. This usually includes things like returns and exchanges, your blogs, and a bunch of other information that isn't particularly commercial, so it's worth excluding it. For now, we're not excluding anything for the test, and of course, there's also the matter of excluding brands. Should you exclude brands? I would immediately exclude brands for this type of ad campaign. Why? Because if you have a strong, well-developed brand online that already generates a lot of sales on its own, it's better to exclude it here. Why? Because the AI will be very tempted to grab all the super cool sales from the brand campaign. Should you mix that in? No, it's better to exclude it. Just forget about it. By the way, you can include brands here. Your ads will only be shown for search queries that match your keywords and mention the selected brands. It's a nice little addition you can also use. Why not? So pay attention to that. So this is the block of settings you need to configure. For now, I don't see anything super exclusive in the settings that you need to do. Since it's still in test mode, they aren't offering us any options to change the bidding strategy here yet. For now, everything remains in its current format. Your task is to monitor the search queries block. Be sure to always check the search queries block. You need to clean up and refine the search queries because, of course, you can trust the AI, but it's better to double-check how relevant or irrelevant the keywords are. For example, in this format, I can see the queries. They seem pretty good, but you need to sit down and figure out whether everything is actually as it should be or not. because, trust but verify. So this is the kind of format we have. Let me remind you once again what the advantage of this search is. Collecting low-frequency, targeted semantics with buyer intent, as opposed to simply targeting similar semantics. Because, for example, if you were just selling, like in our case, just dresses, right? DPO could pick up black, red ones, of course, taking into account the context of your site. But the downside of DPO was that it wasn't suitable for a very dynamic product assortment that was constantly changing. Plus, it also wasn't suitable for those sites that didn't have enough history to be properly indexed. Now, there are already some workarounds for this, so it's no surprise that I would call this DPO with AI tools, but for now, that's just what they've named it. So let's launch it and see how it goes. For now, they're emphasizing that the quality of ads will be very high specifically for these kinds of specialized queries. I call them long-tail queries. This is when a query contains more than 3 or 4 keywords, depending on the number of characters, 4, 5, or even 6 words. These are the kinds of queries that usually don't show up in the search queries block, but they're also valuable for conversions. So that's the story we have here. We'll keep an eye on it. We've only just launched the test, so now we'll see how well or poorly it performs. And accordingly, I might share these results if you're interested, because we still need to run this tool together so that the AI can learn. Because postponing the execution of the task only delays the implementation of this thing. They might even force us to do it artificially. As you remember, that's what happened with Smart Shopping when they forcibly removed it and just created Max. So the same thing can happen with search campaigns, because now even in search campaigns, keywords that have a rather small search volume, those low-frequency ones, are simply systematically and automatically paused. So we don't have a choice. We have to use it. The monopolist also sets its own rules, but as they say, in an era where it's AI everywhere, right? It's present everywhere, you have to keep up. Plus, consider this as a powerful boost for your account. Because in reality, if you teach this AI agent to generate what you need, you'll only be praising it. In fact, if you train it to generate the right results, they will only be for the better. Well, that's all from me for now. I hope this video was helpful. That's a review of the new features available in Google, and see you in the next episodes.